Good morning and welcome to Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plans Thursday morning gathering. I'm Jackie Johnson, and I'm so delighted to be with you on this Thursday morning while Tara Healy is away on vacation. And if any of you are joining for the first time, a warm welcome to you. There'll be plenty of guidance throughout the practice. And of course, a very warm welcome to those of you who are regulars or returners here for this morning's practice. So just to give a sense of how our half hour together will unfold, I'll share a few thoughts and then lead a 12 to 15-minute guided meditation practice. And we'll leave time after that for questions, for sharing. So if you open up the chat at the bottom of your screen, and just be sure that the drop-down menu reads everyone so that the community can take in your comments. And please know that comments are really welcome throughout. I would love to make this a bit of a conversation, so feel free to share as you'd like in the chat as we go. So let's just take a moment as people are still arriving here to settle in with a couple of deep, intentional breaths. And if it helps, you can even close the eyes for just a moment, feeling the weight of the body supported by the earth. And just noticing the impact of all that's happened this morning so far. And all that's here now, the buzz of life as it is right now, including sounds, sensations, thoughts arising. There's always so much to grab our attention. And it's amazing how that can happen in just a moment's time. On my calendar for this month, I noticed a quote from Lao Tzu, the Chinese philosopher, and it goes, "Do you have the patience to wait until your mud settles and the water is clear?" Let me read that again. Do you have the patience to wait until your mud settles and the water is clear? I sort of also thought of a snow globe when I read that. And we have so much conditioning throughout our lives to be doers, to solve problems, to take action. And these days, it's so easy to not have to be patient also because we usually have devices with us. And so even if we're needing to wait somewhere, there's always something to do, right? So it really goes against our conditioning in many ways to just be, to not be doing, and to patiently allow whatever's happening, and to notice our reactions, our responses to what's arising, to that mud, and how we relate to it. So that's a big part of what we're doing in this practice. And it's as many of you have already discovered, it's not easy. It's not easy sometimes, especially to see all that swirling around and to be patient and allow it to just sort of settle in a natural way. And so through practice and hopefully your time here, we're building our toolkits. It's really helpful to have a toolkit for this practice that sort of supports a sense of patience, of collectedness. And that includes having anchors for our practice, like the breath or sounds or body sensations. Sometimes we use labels or words to help support us in practice. And again, feel free to use the chat and share any thoughts about what's really helpful to you in your practice to support that kind of settling. Sometimes it may be some kind of movement before practice, could be stepping outside, taking time to smell the roses or to feel the raindrops or just connecting with nature. So there are all kinds of things we can bring into both our practice and our lives to support more of that kind of patience and settling. So for this morning, I'd like to offer up a practice that's a combination of sort of a breath and a body scan that I think can be really helpful to when there's agitation, when there's restlessness or boredom, to really help with that sense of collectedness and settling. So I'll offer some guidance in the beginning, and then we'll have some periods of silence through the practice. So if you would, find a posture that works for you in this moment, that sort of embodies a sense of wakefulness and also invites relaxation, invites that sense that you are supported, because there truly is this mind-body connection that what's happening in the body impacts what's happening in the mind and vice versa. So the more we can find a posture that feels relaxed, it really sort of signals that safety to the mind. And if some movement would help with the settling, feel free to bring in a little bit of movement and allow the eyes to close if that feels right for you, or casting the gaze downward, away from the screen, really bringing in more of a sense of inward focus can also be helpful. And taking a couple of deeper than normal breaths, and if there is restlessness or agitation, taking time to lengthen and focus on the exhalation. And if there's sleepiness this morning, you can focus more on the inhalation as a way to bring in some extra energy. So let's begin this practice with an inhalation, breathing in normally. And on the exhalation, imagine the breath moving down through the left shoulder, the arm, the hand, and breath moving out through the fingers. And then after the next inhalation, moving to the right side and releasing the breath down through the right shoulder, arm, hand, and out through the fingers. And just repeat this sequence a few times on your own. We're not thinking about it, but we're really trying to feel into that breath moving through the arms. And I know we can't really breathe out through our fingers, through our arms and fingers, but we're feeling the breath energy as it moves through, softening any tangles that are there, and noticing areas that maybe absent of sensation, and simply allowing the breath to sweep through. And following the next in-breath, breathing out through the neck, the torso, and the pelvic floor. And trying this a couple of times. Now, on the next exhalation, breathing out through the left hip, leg, foot, and toes. And then the right hip, leg, foot, and toes. And now continue rotating systematically through these 5 areas of the body at your own pace. So inhaling and breathing out through the left shoulder, arm, hand, fingers, and then moving on to the right side, to the torso, to the left leg and the right leg, and just continuing this rotation at your own pace. Allowing the breath to simply sweep through each area, bringing in energy that's calming or that's energizing, depending on what's needed and helpful for you right now. And each time you notice you've been lost in thought or the attention's been pulled away from this practice, just gently returning, beginning again with the breath moving through the left shoulder, arm, hand. And if at any point there's a sense of settledness and collectedness, and you prefer to drop this practice, allow it to fade into the background, and continue with just awareness of the body breathing, feel free to do that. Or if it's helpful, just continue through the duration with this system of practice. And in this last minute or so, just noticing what's different from the start of the practice. Just checking in allowing the breath to sweep through the whole body. And as we bring the practice to a close, may we all be happy and peaceful. May the deepest wisdom and love guide and protect us all. And may the merit of our practice be of benefit to all beings. And just slowly bringing some movement back into the body, taking your time, bringing the attention back to the screen, back to our community, really feeling into this community. And we have some time for questions this morning. I'd love to hear anything that you may have noticed that might have changed from the start of the practice to the end. Anything that anyone would like to share about your experience of that practice? And certainly any other questions. And you're all also welcome to, as always, share resources, a favorite poem, a favorite book, something you're watching or listening to. And I'd also love to open it up and invite the quote got me thinking about how we bring this practice of sort of cultivating patience and settledness into the day. And so I also welcome anything anybody would like to share about how you may already be doing that. Things like I think about times that I am waiting and may have the impulse to pull out my phone and check on something or distract myself and make that choice to just be with that feeling of waiting and impatience, because sometimes it truly is impatience. And also, if you have thoughts about how you might want to commit to testing this out in the day. So Colleen said this practice was a bit Reiki-ish. Yeah, what a wonderful new tool to settle a wandering mind. I have not tried that breathing technique before now. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jamie. I'm glad you found it helpful. I tend to carry a lot in my shoulders, Heather says. I noticed that by the end of the practice that they were loose, relaxed, and lower. That's great to hear. That's really great to hear. When I did it the other day, I was feeling a lot of tightness in my hips. And the idea is not to effort to try and change anything, but just to notice what's possible with that sort of sense of spaciousness and allowing the breath to sweep through. Yeah, so keep those thoughts coming. I started watching a new show that I heard about just recently on Apple TV. It's called Omnivore. And I've only watched the first episode, which is about chili peppers. But there are maybe 6 or 8 episodes, I'm not sure. And I'm blanking on the name of the famous chef from Denmark who hosts the show, but he focuses on a different food condiment. I know there's one about coffee. I think there's one about salt. I don't remember what they all are. But it just sort of got me thinking about the opportunity to practice more with food and with eating. And so another way to potentially practice this kind of patience and settledness is to just take a couple of breaths before we begin a meal and to look at all the colors, to notice the smells, to really take in the food in with our senses. And also, the show got me thinking about where that food comes from and all the people who play a part in bringing what's on our plate in any given meal, what it takes to get that food, to get that nutrition to us. So there are all kinds of playful ways to bring this practice in to just sort of notice, to notice all that's a part of our days and our lives just by bringing in a little bit more of the patience. And sometimes the mud can seem difficult to be with. And I think there's a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, no mud, no lotus. So really noticing how we relate to the muddiness of all our experiences in the day. So we have just another couple of minutes. If anybody else has thoughts about how you might want to try practicing with just being a little bit more patient as you allow more settling, both in your formal practice and in your life, it's always nice to hear from the community. Mindful of pulling out my phone when I have to wait in line, etc. Yeah, thanks, Julia. And another great place for me to practice is in the car. In the car, in traffic is when I really notice that opportunity to practice with patience and to just sort of take that breath and to notice what's arising. So I encourage you just to find the places in your own day where the tangles emerge for you, tangles in your body, tangles in your mind, in the thought process. And when we get pulled away from that potential to be more patient and more settled throughout the day. So I thank you all for your practice, for being here this morning. You may encounter some real mud outside today if your weather is like mine here in Connecticut. So thank you all for being here and wishing you a wonderful day.